Girolami was behind him, waiting to go. And it looks as though all our cars are rolling away safely on the final formation lap here for the races of Hungary. Race 3 of 3, the 6th of 30 races in the 2019 FIA World Touring Car Cup. So 27 cars leave the grid, led by the one that everybody here wants to win. Everybody who was born here, at any rate. Norbert Mikelic ahead of Esteban Guerrieri, Jan Erlaché and Gabriele Tarquini, who'll be arch rivals. Nestor Girolami, the joint points leader, Michele Ascona, Ted Björk and Augusto Farfus, Daniel Hegloff and John Calverne round out the 10. Huff and Prio 11th and 12th, ahead of Katzberg and Panis 13th and 14th. Muller 15th, ahead of Panis' teammate Coronel. Then the youngest driver in the field, Attila Tashi with Mehdi Banani. Then Fred Vervisch, Benny Leuchter, Thiago Montero, Johan Christoffersen, Nils Langeveld, Kevin Chekon, Gordon Shedden, Marcin Kwa, and our wildcard, Tamas Tenka, the Hungarian who rounds out our 27-car field. Next time out in Slovakia, we may possibly have a wildcard entry from Mato Homola. The Hungarian won the first of the TCR Europe races earlier today here in Hungary. Of course, he's previously raced in World Touring Cars. So Homola having success in the first race, and Peugeot winning the second race. Nestor Girolami and Esteban Guerrieri are joint championship leaders on points. There will be a way of differentiating between them, but that'll happen at the end of this race unless neither of them score points. Ted Björk lies third, 20 back. Jean Calverne, Gabriele Tarquini and Ivan Muller. All of that experience racked up at the top of the field. Fredrik Vervisch, look at that, Michele Ascona. 4 races in, 5 races now into the championship, and he is in 8th place in the points. Well, if anybody's got problems, they're keeping their cards close to their chest. Nobody complaining at all so far on the final formation lap. So that might be a world record. Surely somebody's got something to whinge about. 27 cars weave their way around, trying to get some heat into the tyres. There are no tyre warmers. It looks like nobody is using anything other than a slick tyre either, Richard Coleman. So what the weather brings, the weather brings, but as of now, we have a full grid of hopefully healthy cars and everybody ready for the final race here.
Is it declare a wet race or not?
Yes, they declare a wet race, so we have to have the lights on.
Certainly looks drier from what we saw in the closing stages of race 2.
But still sprinkles of rain in the air as we get ready for the final countdown. "27 cars head to the grid in Hungary for the final race at the Hungarorring. And once the green flag waves, we'll be into the last countdown. 5 red lights will come on. And then all 27 will charge into the first corner in very mixed conditions. It is still sprinkling with rain. Race 3 in Hungary is about to get underway. Norbert Mikelic, the local hero on pole from Esteban Guerrieri, who makes a very good start. So too does Gabriele Tarquini, so too does Nestor Girolami from 5th on the grid. Look for the black and white of his car. Guerrieri's going to have the lead on the inside. Norby can't cover it off. Now he's got to think what his other options are. Tarquini's on the inside. Girolami round the outside goes Erlaché. Round the outside goes Björk. Round the outside goes Muller. Erlaché is right behind us. We are on board with Norbert Mikelic. It's a little calmer run down into turns 1 and 2. And at the moment, Esteban Guerrieri has the lead from Mikelic and Tarquini. Richard, that was a relative... Oh, did Tarquini get ahead of Mikelic into second? I think he might have.
He certainly did, and basically Mikelic tried to take a leaf out of Girolami's book, but was too slow off the line to make that work. So Esteban had already got his nose up. And who's that? That's a link off. That's
no, it's
Prio.
not. No, it's not. That's only 2 digits, so that's not Prio. That is not Björk. That's got to be El Haché, way back there. How's that happened?
No,
or is that 3 digits? It is 111.
That is Prio, yeah. Yellow stripe on the bonnet.
Oh, and that's 69. Goes across the chicane. That's not good for the Audi of Jean-Carl Vernet. Got contact there. And again, Vernet shoved offline, that time by Ivan Muller. Yes, 100. So we're on board with Jean-Carl Vernet, right behind Ivan Muller.
Sorry, I did push Andy, but it was very not on purpose.
Oh dear. Okay, well, you know, when you've got 4 cars that are identical in performance, they're going to end up on the same bit of tarmac. That's always going to be the case. So Ivan holding his hands up to having nudged Prio offline.
Very difficult in these conditions as well. Very easy to snatch a break or just try and catch a slide. And before you know it, you've bounced into the car in front of you.
Or have to avoid somebody else's drama and bounced into your teammate. Across the line, Esteban Guerrieri leads from Gabriele Tarquini and Norbert Mikelic. Gabriele will not give a race away if he gets into the lead, just to allow Norby to win at home. So if Norby's to win here, he's got to do it on his own, despite his teammate. Jean-Carl Vernet had a run down the outside of Ivan Muller. Muller pulled in front of him, and now he's challenging Nicky Katzberg. This is for 11th place, so Ivan's gone back 2 spots off the grid. He's gone back more. He's now fought back up to 12th. He started in 10th place. Didn't start ahead of that, didn't he?
And the stewards are going to take a look at the incident between Ivan and Prio. Obviously, they're teammates, but of course, the stewards treat them as individual competitors, so may well not be the end of that. They'll have to have a look into it and make a decision.
Yeah, because if you don't and you end up with teammates knocking each other off in the final race to decide the championship, then you've opened a can of worms. So, Ivan Muller, Jean-Carl Vernet, there's Aurelien Panis in the first, the DHL Cupras. 2 cars behind is his teammate Tom Coronel with Frederick Vervish between them. So that's as they were at the beginning. So far, Esteban Guerrieri looking as though he's creeping away very fractionally from Tarquini and Mikelic. But with those Hyundais in 2nd and 3rd, he's on his own rear gunner. Well, he doesn't have one because his own teammate Nestor Girolami is down 6th, 7th, battling with Ted Björk. So Guerrieri's going to be on his own. If Tarquini and Mikelic can engineer something, if they can go away with Guerrieri, then he might well get jumped before the end of the race. There's Ted Björk locking up ahead of Nestor Girolami.
The Lincoln Co, again, not having fantastic straight line speed, so look out for that theme, because the Honda has been quite punchy in a straight line.
Guerrieri, Tarquini, Mikelic, and then El Haché in 4th. 5th place, Mikel Ascona in the grey Cupra. Then the 2nd of the blue cars, that's Ted Björk. The 2nd of the black and white cars, that's Nestor Girolami. Ahead of Daniel Hegloff in the other grey Cupra, the one with the white flashes down the side. Rob Huff up to 9th place from 11th on the grid. And rounding out the top 10, Augusto Farfus, the first of the Lukoil sponsored Hyundais. So right behind, Ivan Muller versus Jean-Carl Vernet. There's Ivan in front of us. In front of him is Nicky Katzberg in 11th. It looks as though Katzberg is free from attack at the moment. Vernet less so. Aurelien Panis, fast in both free practice sessions. His pace seems to have deserted him, though, since Saturday morning. But we've seen both PWR Cupras are right up the sharp end, so there's no earthly reason, really, why the yellow ones shouldn't be as well.
No, absolutely not, but their weekend came unstuck, as you said, on Saturday morning, and really haven't got the best out of that package this weekend. And, of course, it could be even worse for them in Slovakia, because they're going to get the BOP.
Yeah, that'll...
that's been created by the sisters Cupra team of PWR.
Exactly right. So whatever they can do here, they need to get it done. Aurelien Panis looking at an Audi in front, but there's one challenging him from behind. Panis in the number 21 DHL Cupra. Right in front of him is Jean-Carl Vernet. Vernet's Audi pulls out of corner 13 a little quicker into the final corner. He's looking at the smoking tyres of Ivan Muller in front, hoping that he'll get a run on the Lincoln Co down the straight, because the Audi is quicker in terms of top speed than the blue cars. On to lap 4.
Björk having to go to defensive. Girolami getting into that toe off the last corner.
Mr. Girolami piling on the pressure. He and the race leader, Esteban Guerrieri, are the joint championship leaders. Girolami with 2 wins already, plus a big hatful of points from pole. Björk, Girolami, Hegloff and Huff. Right now, Björk, I would think, is the man under most pressure. He's got nobody in front that he can get to, and he's got Nestor Girolami
got a drive
behind.
through.
Oh dear. Okay.
The stewards did not like whatever they've seen. They've got some fantastic CCTV style footage here at this circuit, and you can't get away with much. So on reflection, the stewards have decided to give Ivan a drive-through penalty for taking his own teammate Andy Prio off the road.
Well, doesn't help Ivan, doesn't help Prio. Andy's down to 21st from 12th at the start of the race, so he's a long way still from points. Ivan taking a drive-through moves Andy up to 20th, which is still 5 points away from even, 5 places away from even 1 point. Not sure Ivan will respond well to that news.
Drive-through, Ivan, drive-through.
Daniel Hegloff and Rob Huff get into contact together. Huff finds a way through on the inside. Hegloff had better shut the door against Augusto Farfus. He's trying to come back at Rob Huff. Volkswagen not the fastest thing here. Huff the only one in the points. Bernani is 18th, Benny Leutner 20th, Johan Kristoffersen 25th. And through the pits comes Ivan Muller. There may be a degree of French effing and jeffing going on, but he knows in his heart of hearts, after admitting it on the radio, he was probably going to get penalised for that. And take your medicine early. Who knows what might come. If it rains hard and cars skate off, you might still earn some points.
Yeah, you have to take your drive through within 3 laps of it being served. So you may as well get that out of the way, and it's a non-appealable penalty. So you've got no choice to argue that one. You've just got to take it.
Well, Norby tried to cover off Esteban Guerrieri on the inside, didn't he? Oh, hang on a minute. While we're watching this, there's been a change for the lead. Tarquini led across the line ahead of Mikulec with Guerrieri in 3rd. So replay of the start there. We saw how Guerrieri got ahead, but how did the lead change? Our timing screen showing that Esteban Guerrieri is now in 3rd place. Looking back at Thiago Monteiro. Battles all the way down the order of the field, much more, well, disciplined. As Gordon Shedden gets a touch, not this time from Marcin Kwa, but from the other Alpha driver, Kevin Chekon. And flash there with now a nudge from Johan Kristoffersen. Chekon couldn't make the chicane. Is it raining more out the back there? Is that maybe what happened? Or is that just part of this slightly random battle going on? Chekon has got away from Shedden, whose car does not look entirely comfortable. There's dirt all over the place. Now, who's gone off there? Flash goes out very wide in turn 11.
Yeah, a miserable race weekend for poor Flash. 3-time British touring car champion. Not used to being down the back end of any field, but yeah, really struggling at the moment.
Well, there is confirmation. The leaders across the line. So Gabriele Tarquini and Norbert Mikulec 1st and 2nd. Esteban Guerrieri in 3rd. Jan Erlaché in 4th is not too far away. Mikael Ascona in 5th and Ted Björk in 6th and Girolami in 7th. Then a 1-second gap it was back to Rob Huff in 8th. So what happens here? We're looking back at Jan Erlaché.
This is on board with Mikulec looking back, car 5.
Okay, so at the chicane, somehow Tarquini got inside Guerrieri, who had to surrender or hit the tyres, and both Hyundais went by. We didn't see how that happened, but we know how it ended.
Strange place to have a run on somebody as well, so can't help but think maybe Esteban made a small mistake on the exit of the corner before the chicane.
Yeah. Well, that might have been corner 5. It might all have come from hitting the curbs too hard here in turn 4, struggling for grip all the way around into this long right-hander at turn 5. Basically, if you get the nose in here, it tends to stick. But somehow Tarquini took a shot down the inside. Coronel's having a look. But again, you know, it shows that unless there's a mistake from the car in front, you can close a tiny bit, but you can't get alongside. So I think there must have been a mistake, maybe in corner 4 from Esteban Guerrieri.
Real close racing as we watch the 2 KCMG Hondas. They're having a miserable weekend. I mean, they've not really featured inside the points-paying positions. Meanwhile, the other sister team have been, consistently in the top 5 and won both races. So, yeah, you'd expect a big post-mortem after this race for the KCMG team. And, of course, they're highly populated by the people that make the car, Sport as well. So, very odd to see those guys so far off the sister Honda team.
Although Tashi made big inroads in race 2, only to get shunted out wide and then drop all the way back down the order. So he found a ladder, but then unfortunately before the checkered flag, he found a snake, and so he ended up dropping down the order. Aurélien Panis, 13th, battling with Jean-Carl Vernet in that turquoise and red Audi in 12th. Little further up, Jan Erlaché is likely perhaps to get unsettled out of 4th place. Problem for young Mikel Ascona in that grey Cupra is not the car in front as much as the car behind, isn't it? Ted Björk smells blood in the water, and the moment Ascona has a lunge at Erlaché, who's a little bit of the Augusto Farfus in this train, Björk's going to go by like a rat up a drain pipe. Ted needs some points after having a pretty tough race too.
Certainly does, and it's Erlaché that looks like he's struggling with car balance at the moment. Lots of snaking around, and you see him working very hard at the wheel. So Ancona needs to get on with it, really, because he also knows that Björk can't attack Erlaché in the same way that he can attack him. Teammates have to sort of obey some rules there, really.
Well, all sorts of dramas going on. And not just that we can see from the truck, we hear that Johan Kristoffersen's team have detected a major anomaly in the engine, and their suggestion to him mid-race is that he tries turning it off and turning it on again. Now, we've seen this before. We saw Gabriele Tarquini doing it successfully in a race, Control-Alt-Delete, restarting a car, but Kristoffersen's not entirely convinced that that's the best way of skinning this particular onion. Mind you, he's 25th. He may as well. Right, let's reset ourselves as we approach the mid-race distance, end of lap 7 of 15. Gabriele Tarquini leads teammate Norbert Michelis with Esteban Guerrieri in 3rd. There are the 2 Hyundais, and they are pulling away from the Honda. Now, one of the elements here may be, Nestor Girolami battling against Rob Huff, our double race winner already this weekend, trying to hang on to 7th place. Remember, qualifying on Saturday, Guerrieri could not get a lap in without exceeding track limits, kept losing laps. We think probably had to go for an additional set of tyres to get a qualifying run in and get a time in. Maybe that is coming back to bite him now that he's got more worn tyres on the car than anybody else around him.
Yeah, possibly. I thought that would have featured more in qualifying than in the races, if I'm honest, but it could be a possibility. I think that Esteban must have just made a mistake, perhaps in turn 5, because an odd place to get a run on somebody into 6. So I think Tarquini could have done that without a little bit of help from an error from Guerrieri himself. We watched Rob Huff being very racy at the moment at this stage of the race, over the back of Nestor Girolami, who doesn't look like he's all over the back of that little group ahead of him.
Yeah, Girolami in 7th, Huff in 8th. Huff the only Volkswagen in the points still. Volkswagen scored a total of 9 points in Marrakesh. They have got more than that here, but all those men in blue jackets, that's a lot of top-down pressure from the factory operation on Sebastian Loeb Racing's quartet of cars, and they are not punching anywhere near close to their weight. So they're not going to get an awful lot more points here. For Volkswagen Motorsport, this is a major drama, which is about to become a huge crisis. And the problem is, if they have got a poor balance of performance, Mehdi Benani twice setting fastest laps where they scored almost no points in Marrakesh, and Rob Huff seemingly able to produce the speed here and get positions. That's not going to help their cause when they are hoping to get a performance break. Now, that was Tarquini. Here we go, looking back from Guerrieri. Guerrieri slowed, and Tarquini went around the outside.
Yeah, he had a problem there. I think maybe a little misfire in the engine or something.
Sounds like a glitch, doesn't it?
There's no way that that was a natural occurrence.
that was not Esteban. Gabrielli is faster than you.
No, he definitely had some form of issue there. It just felt like the car just didn't pick up on throttle, and then obviously it came back to life for him. So, yeah, that little glitch has potentially cost him a race win here.
There was an Alpha down the inside of a Lynk & Co. that was marching Qua, the Chinese driver, putting in a move on the Chinese car of Andy Priaulx for 21st. And Daniel Hagloff with a puncture, and they're saying, put your foot on the brakes. The engine's still running. That's why that wheel was spinning. The differential is still driving, because sequential gearboxes do not have a neutral. Huge queue of cars here. Mehdi Benani ahead of Thiago Monteiro. And this is just out of the points. Attila Tashi then, car number 9, the youngest driver in the field. He's the last point scorer, the Hungarian. Daniel Hagloff is heading back out to the pits with his car. Well, whatever happens to him in race 3, he'll be a happy boy leaving the Swede, because he's had his first world-class podium in race 2. Rob Huff still chasing Nesta Girolami. And the big gaps are actually from Mikulits to Guerrieri, 2nd to 3rd, and then another 1.5 seconds from Guerrieri to Erlache, 4th to 5th, 3rd to 4th rather.
Still a long way to go in this race, yep. And all these cars are starting to wear their front tyres at different races. Seems to be a bit of moisture on some of the cameras as well, still definitely some drizzle in the air.
Well, this is what happened in race 2, isn't it? Started moderately damp and got a little bit damper and a little bit damper still. Ivan Muller has parked up. Whatever ails him, he's going to pull out of the race. Gabriele Tarquini, former teammate, longtime friend and sparring partner, leads here. And Thiago Monteiro looks at Mehdi Benani. The two KCMG Hondas, nose and tail to Benani. We're looking back from the Moroccan at Monteiro as he looks forward at Attila Tashi, who's chasing Tom Coronel, lately of this Parish Honda and now driving a Cupra. In fact, Tashi looked like he was having a good run on Coronel out of turn 2, out of 3 up to 4. The battle, I think, in front might be a little more lively. Monteiro uses a lot of curb up behind Benani. Tashi has not quite got to Coronel yet. Here comes Muller to park up. And after a drive-through, no chance, realistically, of even a single point. I think pragmatism there, possibly ruling with Lynk & Co. and Ivan Muller.
Yeah, second retirement in as many race meetings for Ivan Muller, which isn't great for his championship hopes. Not good to have no points from 2 races so early on.
And of course, the last retirement was in race 3 in Marrakesh, where he was not last after a drive-through, he was first. And that's the one that hurts. And that's the one at the end of the year that's still going to be hurting unless he wins the title. Is when races like that are taken away because of mechanical problems, even in a new car, when you understand that these things are going to happen, you still think they're going to happen to somebody else. There's Jan Erlache, the stopper in the bottle, Mikel Ascona, Ted Björk, Nesta Girolami and Rob Huff. Not necessarily sure that's going to remain calm all the way to the line. Track limit warning, black and white flag, so final warning, final public warning for Benny Leuchter in the Golf. Not only can't find the speed, but can't keep it on the grey stuff either. And again, you wonder whether the changeable conditions are helping. Tashi committing to the outside of Coronel. Coronel sticking his nose out a little wide. Benani trying to get in there as well. Tashi hanging on for the inside. Oh, into turn 3. He's young, but he's bold, isn't he?
He certainly is. He's no stranger to a few big accidents either, so have to keep our eye on this battle.
Well, Coronel did well to hold on there. I think that all started maybe with Tom having to defend on the inside line into turn 1, not carrying speed down to turn 2. Tashi got a run on him. He is bold, the youngest driver in the field, Attila Tashi. And we know that the Honda's quick. There's one in 3rd, there's one in 7th. Anyway, it was on the inside of turn 1. It all started.
That's very good driving from both of them there, I have to say.
Yeah, in less experienced hands, that could have gone horribly, horribly, couldn't it? But in the end, Coronel whatever else he's got, he has got experience and patience, and he knows that if you don't give the other guy racing room, the chances are you might not survive it either. Tashi, there's clearly just enough grip on the inside in turn 1 to hold your line. If it had been too wet, he would just on skating off into the Cupra.
Tarquini extends his lead to just over a second from Norbert Mikulits.
Guerrieri has stopped. Esteban Guerrieri has stopped. The Argentine is out. The championship leader hits the barriers hard. We may have a safety car. We do have a safety car. Now, did the car just die on him? Did he lose steering? He just went off.
Definitely not a place to have an error. So I'd say that's either brakes or steering. Distraught, championship leader.
And the safety car will close the field up. Well, that is tough for All-in-Cool, Munich Motorsport. They were looking at getting a clean sweep of victories when he started on the front row of the grid and led down into the first corner. That didn't happen. Something went wrong with the car, and the Hyundais of Gabriele Tarquini and Norbert Mikulits went by him. And then something else, and probably a different something else, went wrong with the car, and it just skated straight off the track. Legacy of earlier contact. Everything happens for a reason, but Esteban Guerrieri suggesting it sounds like it was brake failure, apparently, on the radio back to the team, or a brake issue that didn't allow the car to stop. Safety car is out. The tyre barrier in corner 11 will be examined, but I think it's probably okay. Esteban, on the run out of turn 11, went off into the barriers. So our safety car, despite the frantic nature of race 2, was not required. Now, in a much calmer race 3, suddenly we need him for an entirely contact related, at least not immediate contact related incident. Oh, you can hear him changing down hard there to try and retard the car, can't you? That's, yeah, that's not a driver error.
You know what's going to happen 100 feet before it does. Just have to wait for the crunch.
Yep.
But this gives Norbert Mikulits a bit of a chance. I mean, he was just fell back slightly from Tarquini. Yeah, this gives him an opportunity. Obviously, he'd love nothing more than to win at home. Obviously, he's got to be a bit careful that it's his teammate ahead of him. And obviously, his employer won't be too happy if something goes wrong when they're in a 1-2. But I don't think many drivers can resist giving it a go at their home race.
Esteban Guerrieri led the championship this morning before qualifying started. He was the joint leader with two-time winner Nesta Girolami at the break. If they finish as they are now, another Argentine will lead the points. It will be Nesta Girolami by 10 at the end of this race, if nothing else changes. And in WTCR, that is absolutely not a given, particularly in these conditions. And these conditions may not remain. These conditions may get less damp, it may get considerably more damp. Now, of course, there's one thing that the Hungarian fans will be hoping for, is that we go green before the end, and Norby sails down the inside of Gabriele into the first corner, takes the lead and wins gloriously in a green-white checker last lap dash for the cash. But Gabriele will know exactly that that is what is likely to happen away from the restart, and we'll be doing his level best to prevent it.
He's a wily old fox, Gabriele. But I also think that we should get some racing laps in here. Obviously, the race gets slightly extended for 2 laps that were under the safety car. Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult for them to recover Esteban's car from the last corner. Turn 14.
Agreed. Yes, it was 14, not 11. So Gabriele Tarquini will have to judge this neatly. All he can do is try and run away from Norby when the safety car comes in. Norby has got to stick to him like what's it to a blanket, hasn't he? He's got to be absolutely right up Gabriele's exhaust pipe, but without overheating his car behind the safety car.
Driver's just trying to maintain tyre temperatures, a lot of weaving going on as we're obviously not at racing speeds behind the safety car, and ambient temperatures fairly low here.
Now, if you're Jan Erlaché, Tarquini and Mikulits in front of you, you are praying with everything you've got for Norby to have a lunge at Gabrielli and for both of them to drift out wide so that you can slot down the inside and canter gloriously to a victory that could have been the Italians. Now, whether that particular plot twist happens or not, again, we're going to have to wait for the safety car to come in to find out.
Stranger things have happened.
Yes.
Let's hear from Gabriele Tarquini.
Tell that the safety car is too slow because we have cold tires. Try to have more speed from the safety, please.
Okay, Gabriele, we are speaking with race direction about this. We are communicating the thing.
Well, the safety car driver always has a set speed that he's limited to. So I'm sure Mirek will have told Pedro Cachero to try and keep the pace up. Safety car will come in this lap. So the race distance has gone from 15 to 17 laps. We lost 2 behind the safety car of racing. We've added a further 2, which is the maximum number we can add. And now Pedro will switch the lights off at the end of timing set to 2 and really get the hammer down in the Audi R8 to be out of the way as we get ready to restart. At the end of lap 14, there will be 3 racing laps remaining. And if you can see more than one Hyundai as they come out of the final corner, Norby has misjudged it quite badly.
Mikulits, his best chance to win this race is under this restart. But of course, Gabriele will want to disabuse him of that notion fairly early on. And yeah, Mikulits quite a long way back. I wonder if he's perhaps under team orders just to bring it home, because you'd expect him to be right up behind him at this stage.
Yeah, Gabriele's already gone, and Norby was making no attempt to stay with him. Gabriele Tarquini will canter away at the restart. It's going to be an easy start for him. Norbert Mikulits under no threat from Jan Erlaché. The battle behind is Girolami versus Huff for 6th position. That'll be the car that we see pull out in the slipstream. It'll be the Golf of Rob Huff. There's the black and white car of Nestor Girolami. Huff's sending it. No, he's not. Not close enough. Nor is Jean-Carl Vernet behind Nicky Katzberg. Augusto Farfus riding rear gunner to Rob Huff. He was looking at Huff maybe having a lunge and getting that wrong. Farfus couldn't get close enough to tuck underneath the British driver. And Huff is still all over the back of Nestor Girolami for 6th position.
Yeah, I can only think that Mikulits was told just to bring it home in a 1-2 for the team. You can understand why the team would say that too. But yeah, he's pretty much exactly where he was gap-wise before the safety car came out. So Tarquini just got to get it home for the next couple of laps.
Now, the only other very slight fly in Norby's ointment was that he reported high engine temperatures in race 2. If behind the safety car that might have become an issue, then that might perhaps have been part of it as well, but we won't know until afterwards. Further back, Jean-Carl Vernet under pressure from Aurelien Panis. This is for 10th. Panis with all but no points for a weekend that started with lots of speed in free practice 1 and free practice 2. Needs to make sure he at least finishes this race and gets some more on the board. Right behind him is Frederick Vervish, then the other yellow car of Tom Coronel. And again, you can see Panis pulling out the slipstream to have a look at where the inside is of Jean-Carl Vernet. He's not getting through there, he was not close enough.
And at this stage of the race, Martin, Rob Huff, who's also got the fastest lap, so again, not a great point-scoring weekend for the Volkswagen, yet putting their head above the parapet on the BOP.
Yeah, yes, it's not working very well for them so far, is it? Tarquini leads across the line from Mikulits, Erlaché looking for a podium in 3rd, and Kevin Chekon has gone off. Left front corner damage, safety car back out, and this time I think that might spell the end of the race. We're on lap 16 of 17. We will finish surely under safety car. Gabriele Tarquini reduces the pace immediately, sees the yellow flags and the safety car boards. The Car's no longer at racing speed. We're lap 16 of 17. The safety car coming out. Kevin Chacon has gone off, joining Ivan Muller, who's parked up, and Esteban Guerrieri, who was in the barriers. And I think this is down at turn 9. There were yellow flags out there we were warned of, and Chacon has gone off. And whether that was the damage that put him off, or whether he went off and the damage is as a legacy of that, I think probably the contact, or the number of contacts that car's had earlier in the 2 races has had a cumulative effect there somewhere. So Gabriele Tarquini got away from Norby at the restart, and this is going to be a very straightforward run through to the finish. Chacon behind the barriers, out of the car. Let's hear from Gabriele.
Okay, the laps will go down even if it's safety car, so now it's 2 laps to go. Next lap will be last lap, the beginning of last lap. So 2 laps now, 2 real laps to go. Okay.
Now, shall we join the dots? The stewards are investigating car 52, Gordon Shedden, who's 21st, car 14, Johan Kristoffersen, who's 22nd, and car number 31, Kevin Chacon, who's in the barriers. I'm saying somewhere in there is the reason Chacon's in the barriers.
You've been watching CSI again, haven't you, Martin?
Do you know what? It's a wild stab in the dark, but that's somewhere in there. Andy Prio also moved up a spot, but he's not being investigated, so I think he was behind the 3 of those who have all gone off stage left, and one of them ended up in the orchestra pit, and the others have rejoined behind Prio. Doesn't benefit Prio much. He moves up from 20-something to 20th. Not the greatest day, I'm afraid, for AP. Final point scorer, by the way, is Mehdi Benani. So 2 Volkswagens in the points. And as you said, Rob Huff with the fastest race lap. So in 6 races so far this season, Volkswagen have set the fastest lap in 3 of them. And it doesn't matter who's driving or what team they are representing, it is the make of car that goes quickly wherever it comes from. Let's have a look.
So this is on board with Kristoffersen, I assume.
And so right in front, yeah.
Didn't look like there was any contact with Gordon or...
no, or Kristoffersen. But there was a blue car in front, and that would have been Andy Prio. So diplomatic relationships between Guernsey and Italy may be slightly more strained after the race than they were before. So I'm not sure quite, we couldn't quite see because the low camera view and a couple of cars in front sort of masked everything. But as we head on to the final lap, one thing of which we are relatively likely to be able to talk is Gabriele Tarquini taking his first win of the season, second win of the season. Because he won race 2 in Marrakesh, didn't he? The only one that he didn't win last year. So he won race 2 in Marrakesh, winning race 3 here. So our reigning champion with his second victory, a few corners away. You heard his engineer saying the race will finish under safety car, as indeed it does. The final corner, Gabriele Tarquini will come to the line. Checkered flag will be out for the Italian. And the reigning champion takes maximum points from race 3. Norman Mikulic on the podium. That'll please the fans, not as much as him being on the top step of the podium. But Jan Erlaché in 3rd place may not be checking Gabriele. Ways, the ultimate professional. He knows exactly where to get his elbows out, where to roll his sleeves up, but his heart is in the right place. And Norman Mikulic in 2nd position, a 1-2 for Hyundai. And Gabriele Tarquini perhaps not helping their cause there by saying they've still got the best car of the season. Maybe he meant his car was the best it's been all season today, but it's still a very competitive proposition. Lynk & Co 3rd with Jan Erlaché, another different Lynk & Co driver on the podium. So far, Ivan Muller, Ted Björk and now Jan Erlaché have been on the podium. Yet to feature in a podium finish, Andy Prio, but only 6 races into his World Touring Car return.
Event.
At the very least. Munich Motorsport drivers first and second. Nesta Girolami takes the lead away from Hungary as they head next time to Slovakia ahead of Esteban Guerrieri. Ted Björklei's third from Gabriele Tarquini, who's overhauled Jean-Carl Vernet. Michele Ascona in 6th position. Teammate Daniel Hagloff in 12th spot. Ahead of Huff and Prio and Montero and Katzberg and Sheridan and Marr and Coronel and all of them. For the PWR racing team, I think they are absolutely feeling no pain at the moment. But for Munich Motorsport,